We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Daled Amud Aleph in Meseches Gittin. This is Gittin Daf 24a. On the previous Amud, the Mishnah said that even the women who are generally not believed to say that a wife's husband died, because we suspect that these women hate the wife, but they are believed to deliver her get. And the Gemara asked a contradiction, because there's a brisa that says these women are not believed to deliver her get. And we had a machlokas amoraim in terms of resolving that contradiction between the Mishnah and the brisa. According to Rav Yosef, to resolve the contradiction between the Mishnah and the brisa, the Mishnah is talking about in Eretz Yisrael, where they don't need to say b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechtam. That's where the women are believed. But in Chutz La'aretz, where they need to say b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechtam, so there the women are not believed. And Abaye said the opposite. Abaye said, on the contrary, our Mishnah is talking about in Chutz La'aretz. So in Chutz La'aretz, where they say b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechtam, so there nothing. The wife is never going to get messed up, even if the husband comes later and protests. But the get's already been certified with b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechtam. So we believe these women because there's no way they're trying to mess up the wife. But let's say you're talking about in a situation of Eretz Yisrael where the wife really could get messed up because there's no certification, there's no b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechtam. Now if the husband comes and protests, the husband could be believed, and again it could mess up the wife, and so there these women are not believed. And so the Gemara is now in the middle of bringing a brisa to support Abaye's contention that our Mishnah is talking specifically about a situation where they do say b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechtam, and the brisa here continues. The brisa is comparing these women to a situation of the wife herself, and so the brisa continues. We makam shabas, from this source, from this proof that you're bringing, we can learn as follows: Ma'alahalan tzrichas sheyomer b'faneinu nechta, b'faneinu nechtam. Just like the women, they need to say b'faneinu nechta, b'faneinu nechtam. That line already is the proof to Abaye, because the Bryce is clearly saying we're talking about these women delivering the get from Chutz La'aretz and saying b'faneinu nechdav u'faneinu nechdam. And so the Brisa concludes, Afi, so too she, meaning the wife herself, tzricha shetomer b'fanei nechdav u'b'fanei nechdam. She needs to say b'fanei nechdav and b'fanei nechdam. And Rashi says, we makam shabas kolomar hoel u'minayu gamrina. And the Brisa means to say, since we're learning the case of the wife from the case of these women, nigmor nami loha d'mahin tzricha slomar v'chulu. We can also learn this halacha that they need to say b'fanei nechdav, b'fanei nechdam. U'miniktani b'Brisa al halan tzricha sheyomru. And from the fact the Brisa says explicitly that they are saying, these women are saying b'fanei nechdav, we see that the Mishnah is talking about in Chutz La'aretz, just like Abaye, that's the case where these women are believed. Again, this brisa is a support for Abaye's position. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi says, Masnisa nami deka, even from our Mishnah itself, it's proven like Abaye that we're talking about in Chutz La'aretz. And how do we see that? It says at the end of the Mishnah that the wife herself brings the get, and she says, clearly the end of the Mishnah is talking about Chutz La'aretz. So Shema Mina, so you see from that the entire Mishnah is talking about Chutz La'aretz. Also, when the women are delivering the get, we're also talking about within Chutz La'aretz. Or from Chutz La'aretz. And the Gemara continues, Rav Yosef, and Rav Yosef, Reisha v'Seifa b'Chutz La'aretz, Mitziyasa b'Aretz. Is Rav Yosef going to say that the Mishnah is divided up in different cases? The first case the Mishnah deals with, and the last case the Mishnah deals with is Chutz La'aretz, and the middle case with these women, that's in Eretz Yisrael. Does that make sense? And the Gemara says, yes, you can say that Reisha v'Seifa b'Chutz La'aretz, Mitziyasa b'Aretz. We'll say the beginning and the end is Chutz La'aretz, the middle case is Eretz Yisrael. And Mimai, from how do we know that's the case? Midiktani, because what does it say in the Mishnah? It says Ma bein get lemisa. It says what's the difference between get isha and when these women are testifying that the wife's husband died? The difference is shaksav mochiach, because the writing, the document proves what they're saying is correct. V'lo katani shaksav upem mochiach. It doesn't say that the writing and what they are saying proves that they are correct, because they're not saying anything. We're talking about an Eretz Yisrael again in the middle case, and they're not saying b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechta. And the fact that it just says ksav mochiach, that shows we're not talking about a situation of Chutz La'aretz where they're saying b'fanei nechta, u'b'fanei nechta. And Rashi explains, Rav Yosef ma'adaita, and Rav Yosef, what is his opinion? Reisha v'seifa b'Chutz La'aretz is the beginning and the end. Chutz La'aretz meaning hakol ksher and l'havi haget. That first line in the Mishnah which talked about anyone who can deliver a get, okimna b'Chutz La'aretz. That we said is talking about Chutz La'aretz. Meaning tani suma, because it was talking about a blind person, and the fact that we were talking about a blind person had to do with the fact that the blind person is not able to say b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechta. V'seifa isha atzma b'Chutz La'aretz, also the end of the Mishnah, but when the wife is delivering, that's clearly talking about Chutz La'aretz. The katani uvel because it says over there also she has to say b'fanei nechtam u'mitziyasaf hanoshim muki Rav Yosef b'Aretz. But that middle case of these women who might hate this wife, that Rav Yosef says is talking about Eretz Yisrael. And again, Rav Yosef did bring a proof from the language of the Mishnah, ksav upeh. It does not say in the Mishnah that the ksav and the pez mochiach tzrich omer b'fanei nechtav, which would have indicated we're talking about fanei nechtav. And so therefore, since it doesn't say that, it sounds like it's talking about Eretz Yisrael, where there is no b'fanei nechtav. Well, the Abaye, now what will Abaye respond to that? Lo itzrich lemisni ksav upeh. It doesn't need to say ksav upeh. Da'achi mashma, because what it means is ma bein ped de get leped de misa. What's the difference between the testimony, the peh, what she's saying by get, and what she's saying when she says that the husband died? The difference is that when these women are saying something with regards to the get, you have the document to back it up. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, the wife herself can bring her get, and she'll say b'fanei nechtav, u'b'fanei nechtam. And the Gemara says, Isha michimati gita liyada igrishala. When the wife receives the get, the moment she gets it, she's divorced. What does it even mean that she's delivering her own get and saying b'fanei nechtav, u'b'fanei nechtam? Amar Ravuna says, Bi Omer, when he says, Lo tiskar shibo ella b'fnei bezin ploni. He tells her, you're not going to be divorced unless you bring it to this particular court. That's why she's not divorced immediately when she receives the get. But the Gemara continues, sof, but still, Kimat Yehossam, when she arrives over there to that particular bezin, Igrishabah, at that moment she'll be divorced. Why does she need to say, B'fanei nechtam? It's just a condition that she has to reach that particular bezin. Elamar Rav Huna bar Manoach, Mishmei de Rav Acha brei de Ravika, rather Rav Huna bar Manoach says in the name of Rav Acha brei de Ravika, Di Amar lo Kimat Yehossam asnechei ha'ara, he tells her, when you get to that court, put it on the ground, v'shakli, and then take it, and then you will be divorced. But the Gemara says that can't be either. If so, that would be identical to a case where a husband tells a wife, take your get from the ground. He puts it on the ground, he tells her to pick it up. V'yamar Rav, and Rav says, if a husband says to his wife, take your get from the ground, that's nothing, that's not going to be effective divorce. And so the Gemara instead says, Ella rather, Amar Loi says to her, have a shliach laholacha adematis hasam. You'll be a shliach laholacha, a shliach to deliver the get until you get there to the court. V'chimatis hasam, and when you arrive at the court, have a shliach lekabbalah. Then you'll turn into a shliach lekabbalah, v'kabli askitech, and then you'll receive your own get. And so that's why she's saying b'fanei nechtam. But the Gemara says to that, v'halo chazra shlichus eitzel habal. That poses a problem, because for shlichus to be effective, there has to be, in theory, that the shliach can go back to the person who sent him and report that the shlichus has been fulfilled. And in this situation, if she's converting from a shliach laholacha to a shliach lekabbalah, she's essentially performing the shlichus with herself, so to speak. So then we say that's a lo chazra shlichus eitzel habal. There, as a shliach laholacha, she's not able to report back to the husband that she fulfilled the shlichus, because she's now converted herself into a shliach lekabbalah. So that won't be effective. And so the Gemara says instead, the Amar La, rather the case is he says to her, have a shliach lo'olacha adematis hasam. You'll be a shliach lo'olacha until you get there. V'chimatis hasam shavi shliach lekabbalah. And when you get there, you'll appoint a shliach lekabbalah to receive the get from yourself. But the Gemara says that doesn't work either. That will work according to the Man Da'amar, who says that a wife is allowed to appoint a shliach to accept a get from the shliach of her husband. Meaning, she can make a shliach to accept the get from another shliach. Fine, that works. But according to the one who says that a wife is not allowed to make a shliach lekabbalah to accept it from the shliach of her husband, meaning you can't have a situation where a get is given from a shliach to another shliach. There's an opinion that says that doesn't work. So then what are you going to say according to that opinion? And the Gemara says, Taim Amai. Well, what is the reason why, according to that Man Damar, one shliach cannot take it from another shliach? Mishum de'ika bizayin debal. The reason is because that's considered like a disgrace to the husband. It's considered degrading to the husband that you have a situation here where he's giving it to a shliach, and then that shliach is giving it to another shliach. That's not proper covet of the husband. V'hacha ba'al lo kapet. But in this case, clearly the husband doesn't care, because the husband said, "This is what I want you to do. I want you to take it as a shliach la'olacha and then appoint the shliach lekabbalah to receive it." And so therefore, that would not be an issue. But the Gemara says not everyone agrees that is the reason. That works according to the one who says that the reason is because it's a disgrace towards the husband. But according to the other opinion says the reason why you can't have a shliach la'olacha, give it to a shliach lekabbalah, is it's a gezerah, because it seems similar to a case of chatzeira haba la'achar mikan. Chatzeira haba la'achar mikan is, let's say a husband would put it in a chutzner belonging to someone else, and then that chutzner would transfer ownership to the wife. That's a problem. problem. That's not a proper nesinas haget, because he's putting it into someone else's chutzner, and then it's just a transferring of the ownership of that chutzner from that other person to the wife. That's not good. And so one mandomer says that's similar to a case where shliach le'holacha gives it to a shliach le'kabola, and that's why a shliach le'holacha is not allowed to give it to a shliach le'kabola. So Michael, so what are you going to say according to that opinion? According to that opinion, it cannot be the situation that she is a shliach le'holacha and then she's appointing a separate shliach le'kabola that she's giving it to. And so instead, the Gemara says, the Amar La, rather the case is, he says to her as follows: have a shliach lo'olacha ad matas hasam, you'll be a shliach lo'olacha until you get there. V'chi matas hasam, and when you get there, shavi shliach lo'olacha, appoint a different person to be a shliach lo'olacha, v'kavli eskitach minei, and then you'll accept your get from him, from that shliach lo'olacha. That's the case of our Mishnah. V'boisem, if you want, I could say another approach to our Mishnah. The Amar La says to her, have a shliach lo'olacha ad matas hasam, you'll be a shliach lo'olacha until you get there. V'chi matas hasam, and when you get there, amor kame beidina b'fanei nechda b'fanei nechdam, say in front of the court b'fanei nechda b'fanei nechdam, umashvi beidina shliach, then appoint the bezin as a shliach, v'lei zvu nehilach, and they will give it to you. And we will take a look at Rashi. Rashi explains, Mechimota get liyada v'makom shekabalosu b'medinas hayam. The moment she gets the get in Medinas Hayam, she should be divorced. What is she doing delivering her own get? Igrish shalosh, she should be divorced. V'boy lemekle leget megoreshzi. If she wanted at that point to burn the get, she'd be divorced. Ve'inat tzricha lavio b'fanenu. She doesn't need to deliver this get in front of the court. Ela l'raya b'yalma, it's just evidence. V'lama lomar b'fanei nechtav halav shliachi. Why does she say b'fanei nechtav? She's not a shliach. And then the Gemara said, sof kimat yilasa migrish shalosh. Even if there's a condition that she brings it to the court, the moment she gets there, it should be a divorce through the original acceptance of the get. That's not bi'alma. That's just a condition that she brings it to the court. The lotus garish adoso makam. She's not divorced till she fulfills that condition. She brings it to that place. There has been the fulfillment of the condition. She's not a shliach. Again, that doesn't explain the b'fanei nechta, b'fanei nechta. Then the Gemara suggested he tells her to put it on the ground and pick it up. To have a shliach lo'olacha ad hasam. She'll be a shliach lo'olacha till she gets there. And then when she picks it up off the ground, so then she'll be divorced through that. But the Gemara said, that which Rava says that is not good, that's later on. And the idea is that's not good. We need him to give her the get. If he tells her to pick it up off the ground, that's not a solution. That won't be effective. Then the Gemara suggested maybe he tells her that you're going to turn into a shliach l'kabola after your shliach l'holach, and you'll accept the get from yourself. And the Gemara says to that, the Gemara said that there the shliach can't return to the husband and inform the husband that he has fulfilled or that she has fulfilled the shlichus. Shliach lo mikri ela mishtalech mizel lezeh sharoi lachzor etzel shalcha. A person's only called a shliach if they're sent from one to another, and then they can return to the mishaleach and report what happened. V'lomer asisi shlichusech lechavrech, and say I did the shlichus as follows. V'zu eina ru'i lachzor. But here, if she's turning into a shliach lekabola, she can't report back. Sharei lo nishtalch el liatzma. She's essentially being sent for herself. V'yachar kach nasas he balamaisa. She's becoming the balamaisa. Uvatal hashlichus kodev shetachzor. The entire shlichus is nullified before she's able to return. So that cannot be what the Mishnah is talking about. Then the Gemara suggested that he told her to appoint a different person to shliach lekabbalah. Now her own shlichus has not ceased, and she can go back and report back. That's good according to the one, and the Gemara is about to explain the reasonings of why this might not be good for a shliach le'holacha to give it to a shliach lekabbalah. And the Gemara then said, what is the reason why a shliach le'holacha can't give it to a shliach lekabbalah? According to that man Amar Teirutzahi, this is all part of the answer. What is the reason why there are those who say that a woman is not able to appoint a shliach lekabbalah to take it from the shliach of her husband, from the shliach leholacha? Why is that the case? And so the Gemara said to that, one reason is Mishum Bizayin Debal, because of the embarrassment or the disgrace of the husband. To Savr Mevaza Osi, because the husband thinks that she's trying to disgrace me, She'ini Atzma Mekablo, so she doesn't even want to receive the get herself, she's appointing a shliach. Therefore, the husband doesn't want that his shliach should give it to her shliach. And if he does give it to her shliach, it's not going to be a good get, because that wasn't why he sent the shliach in the first place. And Rashi adds, I understand if the husband himself gives it to a shliach lekabbalah, since he himself is giving it to the shliach ishto of his wife, so we see that he doesn't care. Kabed. But as long as we don't see that happening, we assume that the husband is Makbid. And Rashi continues, then the Gemara said, Hacha Baal Lo Kabed, here in this situation where the husband is explicitly instructing that there be a Shliach L'Kabbalah, so clearly he's not Makbid, Sharei Kain Sivala, that's what he's instructing her. And then the other opinion of why it's a problem when a shliach lolacha gives it to a shliach lekabbalah is umishum chatzera habal liachar mikan. The Gemara said that it's similar to chatzera habal liachar mikan. The damin lahadodi, the two cases are similar. Shekashazara get lechotzer chavero ve'achar gach konsa hi achotzer. If he throws the get into the chotzer of his friend and then she acquires that chotzer, harei osas achotzer shliach laholech. So really, it's like the chotzer is a shliach to bring it. Ve'ikashakanaso asaso shliach lekabbalah. And then when she's acquiring that chotzer, it's as if she's converting that chotzer to a shliach. So people are going to think that's the same as a shliach lolacha to shliach lekabbalah. They're going to think a chatzer abolachar mikan is okay. The chatzer la mishum shlichus is rabbi el mishum yada. But in reality, chatzer has nothing to do with shlichus. Shlichus really is a situation of yada. That's an extension of her hand. Vayishayta denesina lav yadu. And the real problem with chatzer abolachar mikan is at the moment that he gave it, it wasn't an extension of her hand because it wasn't her chatzer. Shavi shliach. Then the Gemara said that you should appoint shliach acharina laholacha. When you get there, appoint another shliach lolacha kedei shetei shlichusa chozer zeitel habal. That way, her shlichus can return. She can return to the husband, so to speak, and say that she fulfilled the shlichus in theory. Ulachar zman kabli gitech minei, and then you'll accept the get from that new shliach lolacha that you appoint. Ushliach sha'as shliach amrin b'chol haget shliach harishon osas hasheni bebezdin. When you have a situation of one shliach appointing another shliach, we say in parakol haget that's later on that the first shliach makes the second shliach in bezdin. V'yomer lifneihem b'fanei nechtem. It says in front of them b'fanei nechtem. This is the conclusion of the second parak of Meseches Gittin. If you're enjoying these videos and this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And please take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. And we will now begin the third parak of Meseches Gittin. And the Mishnah says, Kol get shenechtav shelo l'shum isha pasul. If you have a get that's written and it's not for the sake of the woman, it's pasul. And the Mishnah now explains. Kezarau. So, haya over b'shuk. Let's say a person is walking in the marketplace. V'shama kol sofrim makron, and he hears the voice of the scribes, and they're reading out as follows: Ish ploni megarish as plonis. So and so is divorcing so and so. Mimokum ploni, from this particular place. V'yamar, and the person who's passing by says, Zeshmi v'zeshem ishti. That happens to be my name. It happens to be my wife's name. So pasul legarish. But it's possible to divorce with that get because it's not written for the sake of this particular husband and wife. Yeser mikan, and the Mishnah says more than this. We say even more of a chiddush. The Gemara will explain why it's yeser mikan. Kasav legarish es ishto v'nimlach. Let's say a person writes a get to divorce his wife and he changes his mind. Mitzo beniro, then somebody who lives in the same city finds him. V'yamar lo, he says to him, Shmi k'shmeich v'shem ishti k'shem ishteich. My name is like your name. The name of my wife is like the name of your wife. So pasal legarish, but that also it's not considered lishma. It's disqualified to use such a get. He can't use such a get. Rashi says v'nimlach chazer b'malagarish. Again, the person writes the get but then decides not to use it. He decides not to get a divorce. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chavdalid Amid Beis.